Welcome, Damaris. It's great to have you.
Thank you. I'm at the post office. I can't be on video right now.
Sure, no worries. Welcome, everybody on Instagram, Zoom, Facebook. We're just waiting a couple minutes for everyone to sign on and join us. So. Welcome, Andrew. A couple of minutes and we'll get started shortly. Those of you that are connected, take the next couple of minutes to center. Take a couple of deep breaths in as we prepare consciously to get this, to connect consciously via our hearts and get this this journey ready, or this boat ready to be sailed into the lovely horizons. Damien, welcome, welcome. A couple more minutes and we'll get started here, guys. Damien, I think I did a good job. I actually remembered to press the record button.
That's good.
All right. One more minute. So I was telling everybody, or inviting everyone to just take a couple deep breaths in. Center, properly aligned. Prepare your consciousness. Set the intention for the next hour of wisdom, insight, and a wonderful method that I do hold very dear to my heart. And I'm very excited to share it with you all. So, all right. It is 7:02. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Let's see here. All right. Welcome, everybody. Yet another lovely, wonderful, magical Tuesday evening with our monthly get-togethers of Dinner with the Doctors. I'm Dr. JR. I am your host for the evening. I am the doctor of Chinese medicine and holistic physician, and part of a phenomenal team of doctors, healers, teachers, practitioners at Be Optimal Holistic Health Center here in Skokie. And every month we get together and we speak about various techniques, methods, wellness education, giving you insight, giving you techniques, giving you exercises, maybe giving you a little bit of input on how to attain a level of optimal well-being, of optimal health, and not only attain it but also maintain it, because that's the key, is maintenance of our vehicle, and our vehicle is also our temple, and our temple is made up of three bodies within this beautiful physical form, and those three bodies are our physical energetic body, our mental body, and our emotional bodies. And all three bodies come together and give us this extremely sophisticated machine that is the most sophisticated machine that we have on this planet currently. And sometimes, we get off our alignment, and when we get misaligned, certain disharmonies can come together and set forth a pattern that allows for disease to take a toll on our body. And disease, like you've heard me say before, is two words. Dis-ease is a state where life is no longer at ease. When life is supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be smooth, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be exciting, it's supposed to be inviting, not the other way around. So this is what we do twice a month. Dr. Abby and Dr. Carrie meet on the second Tuesday of every month, and I am with you on the fourth Tuesday of every month. And it's just it's fun times. It's a great way to interact. I invite all of you participating tonight at any point to write, in the chats. You can write any questions or any comments that you may have, and I will do my due diligence to keep an eye to keep an eye on those comments and questions. If I don't get to them uh, at the moment, then I will most definitely get to them by the end of our chat today. Okay, so I will uh, do my best to get to all of you if you have any comments or questions to add. But anyways, welcome. It's going to be a fun night tonight. We're talking about the Wim Hof method, and we touched upon this 2 months ago, and we chit chatted on what it was, and how what benefits it can bring your. I always refer to this as the vehicle or the temple, but your body, and what it does and how it does it, and why it should be incorporated in a daily regime. And today I want to touch a little bit more in depth on what we spoke about, a couple months ago, and we will end with doing a round of the Wim Hof method together, the breathing technique together, so that you can get a feel for it, right? So that we can do it together as a group, and you can get acquainted with the subtleties, the je ne sais quoi feelings and sensations that it can bring to your awareness. And it's a lot of fun, and it brings this the little squirrel effect of what is happening to my body. And trust me, the more you do it, the more you're going to want more of those squirrels to catch your attention. So anyways, Wim Hof method. Let's see now. I went to China in 2014, so maybe a year prior to that. I've been doing the Wim Hof method on a daily regime since 2013. And it was brought to my attention. A very, very dear friend of mine, you know who you are, brought told me about this technique called the Wim Hof Method, and um, said, "Jr., with everything that you do, you should try this and see if you like it." And you know, oh behold, however many years later, I'm still doing it on a daily basis. But the Wim Hof method is a method developed by a man known as Wim Hof. His name is Wim Hof. He's also known as the Iceman. And he he has a strive. He has a goal. He has a mission of teaching as many people as possible that you are in complete and utter control of your vehicle in all of its aspects. He, throughout many years of doing cold therapy and his breathing exercise technique, uh, he has gathered over 20 world records. Um, some involve climbing mountains in the middle, in snowy weather in the dead middle of winter, only wearing shorts and shoes. He has climbed Mount Everest in shorts. He has swam in the in Arctic poles, just wearing shorts. He has set his extreme uh, environmental stimuli to the point where he is in complete control of how his body responds. So, uh, in extreme cold, and he's known as the Iceman, but let's also take or remember that he has ran a marathon in the desert without needing a sip of water. Okay, so he has taken both extremes of environmental extremes and pushed his body to what was known as a limit prior to him doing it, and has trained his body to adapt to these external environmental stimuli that are very extreme, from very hot to very cold. He did this to prove that, going back to we are the greatest machines upon this planet, he did this to prove that that is fact. We are the greatest machines on this planet, and we are able to adapt to our surroundings, to our environment, with comfort and ease, plain and simple, with comfort and ease. And in adapting to our environments, it does not matter how cold or how hot or in what state of stress your body is in. If you learn to tap in to the deepest aspects of your body, you can reach a state where you are in complete and utter control of how your body responds. And how does he do this? He uses these extremes in order to create a stress load on the body, which then forces him to enter a state of consciousness that is still and in complete control. And he did this most of his life. And he doesn't only talk about control over the physical body. He talks about control over the mind, control of the consciousness, having ventured in various art forms, from martial arts to meditation to various philosophies of ways of life. He never got to the point that he wanted to get to until he put his body in these states of extreme stress, which then allowed him not only to adapt physically but also mentally. So now he uh, has developed this method in order to teach people to do the exact same thing. So now we know that we can control our physical body to the point where we can control systems of the body that have been previously put under the umbrella of having absolutely no control over, to our state of mind. So now we're talking about mental well-being, mental health. And he did this for many years, and unfortunately, he lost his wife, who committed suicide. And from that point on, he did this. He dove more into the extremes, um, and this is where he tapped into the ability to control not only the physical but the mind as well. So instead of falling into a great depression, into a great depressive state, he was able to pull himself out of that hole, raise himself from that abyss in order to keep moving on, and in order to keep pushing specifically for his children. And great respect to Wim Hof for attaining that knowledge and that ability. In his words, he says that the cold is what's his statement? The cold is merciless but righteous. The cold is merciless but righteous. That means that the cold can bring about a lot of pain on the body. It can bring about a lot of discomfort. The cold can be painful and can bring a lot of stresses on the body, to the point where we know that necrosis can happen, frostbite can happen. You can get The cold can influence your body and shut it down permanently. We know this. But through his technique, which we will dive into what they, what that, you what aspects that actually touches upon, you are able to stay in a state of mind and a state of body and a state of being that is still, and you are in complete control of how your body responds to that stimulus. His method, Wim Hof Method, or WHM, has three main categories. One is the breath. Through the art of breathing or conscious breathing, you can attain the deepest parts, the deepest aspects of your mind, of your body. This is true. Through the breath, you can attain stillness. This is true. Through the breath, you can acknowledge your emotions, your emotional state, and you can allow them to easily um, move along and no longer take a toll on your body. And that's huge. That's immense to have that knowledge, to have that power. There's a there's a mystic that I follow, and I have great respect to him. I respect him just as much as I respect Wim Hof, and he's his name is Sadhguru. and you could look him up online. And we're not going to go into what he does or who he is, but he has a saying: "We have the most sophisticated body. Excuse me. We have the most sophisticated machine in the world, but we have never read the user manual." I like that. I like that statement. It's true. We don't know. We don't know ourselves. We could travel to the moon. I think we're close to going to Mars if we haven't already, but we don't know this. We don't know how this works. And Wim Hof is a pioneer in this, uh, in this voyage into learning how to dive inward and control our bodies. So the Wim Hof method, 3 aspects: the breath. There's also a second aspect, which is cold exposure. Now, cold exposure is not inviting, or at least to me. For those of you that know me, I love beach weather. I love the beach. I love the heat. um, and as much as I love the heat, within the last, give or take 8 years of doing this practice, I can count in 2 hands how many times I have taken a hot shower. I know, ironic, isn't it? Cold exposure, it's such a weird mechanism, but it allows you to adapt to your surroundings. It allows you to adapt to what is uncomfortable. It allows you to invigorate your body in a state of uh, not non-pleasant stimulus, and it also allows you to attain that sense of stillness. So via the breath, via cold exposure, you can really merge both of them and really reach those deepest aspects of the brain, of the body that we were talking about previously. The third component to that is mindset. Mindset. Not everybody can withstand an ice bath for 10 minutes. I actually look forward to it. I do it twice a month, but I'm cuckoo bananas like that, so it works out. But not everybody, to many people, not that is not inviting. After a minute or two of sitting in an ice bath, it becomes unpleasant. It becomes almost painful. Well, mindset is key. With mindset, you can direct your breath in order to attain a sense of adaptability where you can learn to treat that ice bath that you are sitting in just the same as you would wearing silk pajamas. I know it sounds weird. You have to try it to you have to experience it fully. But needless to say, those are the 3 aspects of the Wim Hof method: the breath, cold exposure, and mindset. Now, when I first started, I did, my friend, as mentioned before, my friend talked to me about this method, and he knows that I dabble in many different arts and everything. So he said, "JR, this is right up your alley. Try this." So, so I did. I did the breath and I did the breathing technique. And after a month or two, I said, I'm starting to feel shifts in my body, shifts in my awareness. Little things, little minor tweaks here and there are starting to happen within my body. I'm waking up in the morning feeling rested. I'm having easier access to sleep at night. Um, dare I say, I'm not as fiery if I get too passionate about something. Um, and I learned to use after about 2 months of doing this, 2 3 months. I learned to use this breath in order to anchor myself, in order to bring myself back to the present moment. And I started seeing again more and more noticeable differences. Where at that point, I believe it was my digestion. I was able to digest and process my food so much easier. And not to get TMI or anything, but every time I went to the bathroom, everything was working to its peak. So that got me interested. That's when I said, okay, there's something to this. I went online and I did some more research, and I, watched some YouTube videos and read some articles, and I ended up reading Wim Hof's book. And he talked about the cold therapy, cold exposure, and so I decided, why not? I'll try it. I jumped. I was excited because he pumps it up. You feel great. You feel amazing. I jumped into that cold shower, and after about 30 seconds, I jumped out of there like a bat out of hell, and wrapped myself around my my towel and shivered for about an hour later, and said, "This is not for me. This is not for me." I kept on doing the breath for a couple of months after, did some more research, and then did some research on cold therapy, not necessarily, excuse me, cold exposure, not necessarily from Wim Hof, but other individuals throughout the world. And the benefits are there. Concrete science demonstrates the benefits of cold exposure. So I said, JR, you got to bite the bullet. Let's do this again. Let's try it. So I told myself for a month I was going to shower normally, hot water, and, do the necessary. And I would end with 30 seconds of cold water, of only cold water, no hot, only cold water. And I said I would do this for a month and see how I feel. First week, I was not, I was, it was not inviting to go into my showers by any means, knowing that I would have to finish with 30 seconds of cold. But after about 2 weeks, I almost look forward to it. I look forward to that little that little excitement that you had after the shower. And those of you that know me, you know that I am a coffeeaholic. I love coffee, especially in the morning. And I noticed that about a week went by, and I did not have a single ounce of coffee for a solid week, having done coffee therapy for many years prior. I didn't have coffee, and I didn't even notice. That's the thing. I didn't notice that my daily behavioral regimen of having my coffee in the morning had subsided. I was that energized when I did a shower in the morning. And I pushed and I went from, doing a regular shower and ending with 30 seconds. And I ended up doing a full shower, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes of just cold water, to the point where it was, I was dancing, dancing in the shower. Everything was vibrating. Everything was, it was such a feel good moment. So I said, okay, there's something to this. Let's up it up a bit. And I took my first ice bath. I, filled the tub up with ice. I said, we're gonna try this. I apparently like the showers. Let's see what this does. Sat in the bath, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, I had to get out of there. I was shivering, but it was a pleasant shiver. It was a pleasant shiver. And then after which, I read that if you do the breathing technique, the Wim Hof breathing technique, while you are in the ice bath, it becomes better. Well, not to say, good to know. So I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again. We're to the point where I did ice baths once a week, and I felt great. I felt amazing. We talked last, 2 months ago about what the cold exposure does. We have a vascular system. We are full of this plumbing system that circulates our blood and all of our vital information throughout our body. And our vascular system, between the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries, make 3 times the circumference of planet Earth. I don't know if many of you know that, but that's fact. You can look it up. Almost 300,000 kilometers worth of uh, highways that we have within each and every one of us. The cold and the breath allows you to oxygenate your blood and circulate your blood so that it attains every single cell in your body that much more, tenfold. This method, the Wim Hof method, reaches, as mentioned before, the deepest aspects of your body. And we know that it has influence on your, obviously, vascular system, your neurological system, your endocrine system, your hormones, your uh, your psyche system. So now your psychology and your psychic factors, also known, termed in 2014, I believe, the term PNEI, which is psychoneuroendoimmunology, which are the main systems of our body, and it it allows us to strengthen our immunity as well. So now we have this method that we can use and incorporate on a daily basis that not only strengthens our vessel, maintains our vessel, but also allows for evacuation of what no longer serves our highest and best self, our emotions, our thoughts, body toxicities. Just by doing the breath alone, it makes your body alkaline. There are schools of thought that refer to the number one cause for inflammation, number one cause of disease in our current times is inflammation, and the number one cause of inflammation is acidity. This technique, just talking about the breath, allows your body to become alkaline. So it rids you of this state of excess acidity. And if you don't have acidity, there is no room for inflammation. And if there is no room for inflammation, there is then no more room for a state of dis-ease. So we got the how, we got the what, and we got the why. By adding this method to your daily regime, because by adding this to your daily regime, you are allowing your body to properly maintain itself as you exceed in your direction, in your strive for accessing an optimal state of being. It allows you to maintain that state of being so that you can move through life with comfort and ease. There's a term called epigenetics. And epigenetics are our DNA markers that turn on and off based on our surroundings. That is a very, very general way of explaining it, but it is very prominent in today's research, where we know that our DNA changes based on our surroundings. And this method has demonstrated concretely how we are able to influence those changes in our DNA in order to adapt to our surroundings. Let me give you an example. In 2007, Wim Hof decided to do a research study. He had doctors inject him with a norovirus, E. coli. And, E. coli has, dare I say, severe symptoms behind it. It's not very comfortable by any means. And Wim Hof did his method, did his breathing. No cold exposure was necessary, just did the breathing because the E. coli was enough of a stress factor that he didn't need to add the cold to it. And the only symptom he had was a minor headache. Minor headache. And his inflammatory markers did not go up, none of them. And he was able to, quote unquote, push the E. coli away from his system so that they tested him a few minutes later after having injected him with this virus, with E. coli. And he no longer had it in his system. So it neutralized the exposure to E. coli. Doctors told him, doctors said he's a freak of nature. We don't know how his mechanism works, but he's the only one we've come across. And he said, no, anybody can do this. And he convinced the doctors to get a group of people together, 16 people together. And he told them that they asked him how long he would need in order to train these people to do this method. And he said, oh, now I can't remember if it was 3 days or 10 days. I believe it was 3 days. But he said 3 or 10 days. That's it. They all came back to the clinic or hospital. They all got injected with E. coli, and they all had the exact same adapting facility that Wim Hof had. So since 2007, Wim Hof demonstrated that we can control, that we have complete control over our autonomic system. Prior to that, medical books had always said that is the one system we cannot control, our autonomic system. Our autonomic system is our automatic system. It's the system that we don't necessarily have conscious control over. It's our heartbeat. It's our respiration. It's our digestion. Can you imagine having to control that on a daily basis? Talk about a nightmare. But now we know that we have a direct link to our autonomic system and we can influence it. We can control it. Since then, the journey continued, and he's done more and more research studies. If you go online and look up the Wim Hof method with COVID, he did a study in Switzerland back in November of last year, last year, where he demonstrated that his breathing method decreased the inflammatory markers. Don't quote me on this, but 4, 8, and 11, again, don't quote me on this, but the inflammatory markers that are associated with COVID. So do your own research on this. I've read the study; it's very convincing. But I've been doing this for a while, so. Um, but needless to say, the research is there. The studies are there. Oxygen is free. Our well-being, our state, our optimal state of well-being is accessible to anyone and everyone. We just need to learn to tap in. We just need to learn not only this technique, right? This is one of many, but at least incorporate techniques like these on a daily basis so that you can have the fortaleza, you can have the strength, you can have the motivation, you could have the energy, you could have the vitality, the stamina, the stillness to tackle every single day you have upon this plane of existence with grace and ease. At this point, I would like to do a round of the breathing technique with you all. A few pointers, a few things to expect during the breath. You will get some pressure. You might feel some pressure in the head. You might get tingly sensations in the hands and feet. You might get muscle twitches. That is perfectly normal. This is nothing to be afraid of or feel like a hindrance of finishing your breathing exercise. If at any point, please be mindful of this. If at any point there is discomfort to the point where it can lead to pain, I want you to stop this breathing technique. All right, as we can continue on, but I want you to stop and just come back. All right, join us consciously. All right, but that just means that we need to ease your system in accepting the bombardment of oxygen that you're about to receive. That's all it means. Okay? Everyone and anyone can do this technique. Anyone and everyone can do this technique. Okay? All right? Some people get emotional releases, after doing a couple rounds back to back. You can, many releases in form of tearing and form of laughter. Whatever comes up, comes up. Okay, we're only going to do one, maybe two rounds together, but at least to get you to dip your toes in the water and see if you want to invite this technique to your daily regime. All right. So let me explain what the technique is. Okay, the technique is very simple. All right. When you breathe, you're going to take a full breath in and you're going to let it go. That's it. That's all it is. All right. And by letting it go, I mean you're not blowing all of the carbon dioxide, all of the air out of your lungs. No, no. You're going to take a full breath in as such, and you're going to let it go. That's it. We're not blowing all of it out. No. Deep breath in, fully in. Let it go. All right. We're going to do this breath 30 times. Some people do up to 60 times of this breath. We're just going to do 30 together. Again, just to pique your interest. Okay. And on the last breath, we're going to take a full breath in. We're going to let it go. And we're going to pause. No oxygen in your lungs. No need to breathe. We're just going to pause. I invite you to either keep your eyes closed. You can keep your eyes open or close them, whatever feels better. But I want you to stay in that stillness and try to let go of that. When am I going to breathe again? Don't worry about that. Enjoy the experience your body is or the feelings that your body is experiencing after doing this breathing technique. Okay, and when you feel the desire or the need to breathe again, I want you to take a full breath in, hold for about 10 seconds, let it go. All right, recap: 30 breaths fully in, let it go. 30th breath, you're gonna fully in, you're gonna let it go, you're gonna pause and be still for as long as you can. And when you need to breathe again, you're gonna take a full breath in, hold for 10 seconds, you're gonna let it go. That's what we're gonna do together. Okay. I've been doing this a while, so I can hold my breath for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But this is not a competition, and I'm not going to do it that long. All right. I will intentionally end at about the minute and a half mark. Okay, so that we can all kind of have the same timing. If you decide that you can go on longer, then please, I invite you to do not take that uh, necessary breath after holding for as long as of a period as you hold, just because we are doing it. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So let's do this technique. Ready, set. Let's do it. Fully in. Let it go. Fully in. Let it go. Fully in. Let it go. Ten. Keep doing it on your own count. At this point, you're going to feel tingly sensation in your hands and feet. You're going to feel a little pressure on your head. Perfectly normal. Do not worry about it. In fact, invite it more so. Try to intensify this experience that you are feeling right here, right now. Fully in. We're going to do 10 more. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Fully in. Let it go. Pause. Do not do anything. Be still. Be within yourself. At any point, if you feel the need to take a deep breath in, fully in, hold for 10 seconds, let it go. All right? But be with yourself. Be in this moment. Be in this time, be in this space. Enjoy the subtle experiences you are feeling right now. If you have tingly sensations, try to increase them. If you have images that come through your mind, try to increase them. If you have muscle twitches, try to increase them. You guys are doing great. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fully in. Those of you that can hold longer, please do so. 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. There we go. Come back. Come back. There we go. Still hold on to that sensation. Still hold on to that experience. All right. And only for those of you who would like to continue, we're going to do a second round all together. Okay? If you need some water, go get some water. All right? It's normal to have a little bit of dry mouth during the breath. It's completely normal. Don't worry about it. If you need more time for your body to adjust, then just sit there and enjoy the second round of breathing with us consciously instead of acting upon it. All right? Let's begin. Fully in. Let it go. Twenty-five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fully in. Let it go. Pause. Those of you that want to continue in the stillness, please feel free to do so. Those are you that are back. Keep your eyes closed or open them, whatever you'd like. But let's take a minute or two to be here, to be present, to be now. Enjoy this space. Enjoy what you have experienced. You have literally just gotten high on oxygen. So it's normal to feel a little loopy. The Wim Hof method, the breathing technique, is done in 3 rounds. We're not going to do a third round together. You can do one at your own time, should you choose to do so. That is the full method of the breathing technique. 3 rounds. In fact, actually, I'm getting hit to do the 3rd round together. How does everyone feel with that? I can't see any faces, but we're going to go for it. All right? Let's do it all together so that we can fully experience the full spectrum of what the Wim Hof method is. We're going to do it together. I'm not going to speak. We're just going to do the breathing. I'm going to have some light music in the background. And when you come back from holding your breath, just take a few minutes and we'll come back to this time, to this space. So let's begin. Fully in. Fully in. Let it go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 8 o'clock at night. It was wonderful to experience this with you, with all of you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us, to join me. And we'll see you next month, fourth Tuesday of the month, same time, 7 to 8 p.m.
Thank you.
Hey, for the D.
That was great.
How'd you like it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
You want to stop the recording and then stop the live on
Oh, yep.
Facebook.
Here we go. I'm doing Instagram. You know, I can't do two things at once. Right, let's do this here. Select. Recording is off.